pick was the 1960s. You Say You Want a Revolution. Other group members are Jordan Pitts and Lena May, and Lena is doing part one while I'll be doing part two. The singer that I chose to talk about was Phil Ochs. He is a Jewish folk singer who started out in 1962 making music, and although his first album came out in 1964. During that time between when his first album came out, some of the songs he made actually appeared in Broadside, which is a mimeographed protest song journal. His second album that was released in 1965 was called I Ain't Marching No More, and the title song, which is also the same name as the album, actually became the anthem of the Vietnam War protest movement. Now, Lena went over an artist by the name of Dylan, and both Ochs and Dylan actually wrote about the same topics in their music. Racial murders in the South, the Vietnam War, and having hope for a better world after the war. The main difference between the two in their style of music was Ochs more captured the feelings and events that occurred with angry passion. Basically, he wanted people who listened to his music to want to just get up and go protest. His song "Here's to the State of Mississippi" was based off an event in June 1964, where 3 civil rights workers, 2 Jewish New Yorkers by the names of Andrew Goodman and Michael Schwerner, and a local black Mississippian named James Chaney were all killed by the local KKK while they were traveling together trying to register voters. Overall, it was 18 members of the KKK that were all arrested, and even some of them were actually public officials in that area. And it was brought to a lower court, and they only charged on a civil rights charge, and none of them served more than 6 years. And this wasn't really uncommon back then during this time, but the main thing that was different was it actually involved some white college students from the North. And because of this, it ended up being the turning point within Northern white and Jewish responses to the civil rights struggle. The next singer that I chose is Pete Seeger. And the first picture I had of him was, of course, when he was younger, and the one to the right is actually a lot more recent because he was singing still in the early 2000s. Pete Seeger actually sang for multiple movements from the 1940s all the way to the 1970s. In the 40s, he sang for 40s and 50s. He sang for the labor movement, and then in our era, he sang for the civil rights marches and anti-Vietnam War rallies. One song that he wrote for an anti-Vietnam War rally, it was "Bring 'Em Home," which is just a song that was pleading for the war to end. Although his favorite song was actually called "Waist Deep in the Deep Muddy." This is an anti-war song, and the main refrain that this song is known for is "The Big Fool Says Push On." Despite the song was about how, despite the Mississippi River was really deep and too dangerous to cross, the captain of these soldiers pushed forward no matter what, which ended up he kept going forward until his own eventual demise, and this is a metaphor for the Vietnam War. Now, he performed this on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour in September 1967, but this show was cut before it was broadcast. And although they tried to censor this, they went public with the censorship, and it was broadcast once. It was broadcast again. Alright, that'll be it for the part 2 video, and part 3 will be Jordan Pitts on the Beatles and CCR.